We're gonna pretend like this is a well-planned podcast.
Dude, we don't plan.
Welcome to the NFL, where the scores are made up and the winners don't matter. Welcome back to the Joes on the Pros podcast. Yeah, I didn't even say you. I didn't even tell you I was going to say that one. I love my Whose Line Is It Anyway references. Welcome to Joes on the Pros, where we don't have any plans. We make everything up, and does that really matter at all? I don't know.
I think that's the way to have fun.
Yeah, that's where the best lines come from, is when you don't plan anything and they just come out of nowhere. But anyway. Already getting off track, and we haven't even gotten past the intro yet. Welcome back to the Joes on the Pros. We're going to be talking NFL Week 4 action that took place last week, as well as our predictions for Week 5. With me, as almost always, is Jared, Brendan, and Aiden. How are you guys doing?
I'm the reason for the almost.
And you had a good reason.
Come on.
I did.
So now is it Joe's on the Pros with Andrew, Jared, and Aiden featuring Brennan because he only makes a few spots?
Dude,
I don't want to
featuring.
I'm not remaking the logo, okay?
Oh, come on. No, okay. It's nice to have you back, Brennan.
Is he still not a Joe? Is he still not a Joe?
I mean, he is. But
is he still talking about the pros?
Fair.
He still fits the description, whether he's here or not. And there's going to be times where the rest of us aren't going to be here at some point. It's just a matter of life. In fact, you almost didn't make it last week because you had to evacuate.
Yeah, but
you're back home. You're safe.
Yeah, we're back home. We're good. My house sustained no damage, just a lot of debris in the yard. But
yay!
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, and our thoughts and prayers go out to anyone who was affected by the hurricane, because that was some pretty devastating damage down there. So hope anyone watching from that area is doing okay. So our thoughts and prayers definitely go out to that area. But let's move on to some NFL football Week 4 action. And the reason why I did that cheesy, corny intro is because there's only one team that is yet to lose and only one team that is yet to win. Everything else is just a brouhaha in the middle of it all. Brendan, you were raising your hand. Would you like to be called upon?
5 fingers. It's because it's Week 5.
But
we're talking about Week 4 results.
Okay. I was like,
what's the program? All right.
I'm like, we're getting ready to talk about Week 5 Week 4 action. I'm like,
no. We're about to talk about Week 4 action.
He misses a week. He thinks he runs everything.
That's true.
Like,
no. He's just off by a week because he missed last week.
Okay.
That's true.
Can we talk about, however, the best story of the entire week? The best story of the entire week. Also, the worst story came from the same game, but the best story of the entire week. Those white tiger uniforms. Oh,
you mean the zebra uniforms?
Chef's kiss.
No. They were. I love them. I hated the fact that people were calling them zebra uniforms. They looked really. I thought the coolest part was that, like, the accent of orange around the numbers and the names.
Yeah,
just
everything
really
about it was perfect.
It wasn't just purely black and white.
A couple teams had really, really good uniforms this week. Do you guys see the Saints?
The Saints helmets were pretty good.
Oh.
Yeah,
I like those. Who was it who also had a really good uniform? I'm blanking on another team that used the alternate.
I don't know if another team used their alternate.
What I loved about the white tiger, the whiteout and everything, it had such a college atmosphere, right? I mean, it was so cool to see all the fans buying in. Like, in Cincinnati, I mean, there's not a whole lot of fans with white Bengals gear heading into this season. Orange, black. I mean, those have been easily the dominant colors. So to see all the fans there in white, the white pom-poms that the team gave out, it was really cool, like almost like one of those college, blackout, whiteout scenarios.
But on the flip side, in that game, how the hell are we letting Tua Tagovailoa even play in that game? How are we letting him come back in Week 3? And how in the heck has there not been more sanctions handed down? Like, I know it's crazy.
Well, I think the investigation is still ongoing, but they did fire the independent neurologist
by both the NFLPA and the NFL. But
what's bad? Go ahead.
My problem with the whole situation, and here's where I get, on the side of the players. They're blaming the Bengals player who slammed him to the ground, that is a normal football tackle.
That wasn't egregious at all.
That wasn't egregious. People were calling for flags. That wasn't egregious at all. What it was a normal tackle. And because, like multiple doctors have said who have watched that clip, the fact that was the second time he's been concussed and he wasn't fully healed from the first time in a span of less than a week, he should have never been out there in the first place. He should have never came back in the second half. And he should have never stepped foot on the field. It should have been Teddy Bridgewater from the beginning.
What's the scariest part for me about that is when I first saw it live and you immediately saw him, prone on the ground, and I immediately thought, oh, when he got slammed to the field, his head must have snapped back and hit the turf. But when you watch the replay, that didn't happen. I mean, his helmet did not snap back and hit the turf hard. It was really just the jarring nature of him hitting the turf and his head being knocked around a bit. I mean, that's the scary thing is that's a sign to me that, it didn't even take a violent hit to the head specifically for that to cause something that severe.
Yeah, and the thing is like when you watch what happened when they were playing the Bills and how he got up from a hit, took a few steps, and then just dropped on the field without any rhyme or reason why, fans were already saying, this dude has a concussion. There is really no other explanation as to why he would just collapse like that. And yet he went back out on the field that same game. And like, if fans are saying, this guy obviously has a concussion, what the heck did the neurologist do?
Well, he had a back injury, of course. Don't you know? That's what they said, a back injury. Why are you questioning it? It's a back injury. Stop asking questions. No, yes, he's seen double everything. It's because of the back.
I mean, I sit here in as someone who has played sports, and I think all of us can attest to this, injuries are scary. I'm someone who's had 2 concussions from playing sports. I have had 2 concussions, and I know what they can do to you. I was out, my first one, I was out 2 weeks. Second one, I was out 3 weeks. Like, they're not easy to play with. Even when I'm not playing a contact sport in football, I was playing baseball. I played a high contact position in catcher. But still, the fact of the matter is you're not only risking your team's play because he's not going to be playing at full health, you're risking this young man's life. You are risking brain damage. You are risking everything. And I think I'm not someone who likes to harp on broadcast at all, even though as someone who wants to go into that field. However, I give an F to Amazon Video for constantly showing him down on the ground, for showing that replay as many times as they did. That is, in my opinion, unacceptable.
Yeah, because there's a lot of times where you have large injuries and like the broadcasters will say, we will not show this replay because of the graphic nature of the injury. So you feel like it should have been in line with that.
How many times did they show his hands going like this? Like,
yeah, a lot.
At some point, that can be traumatic for people. That is gruesome. That is something you don't want to see. If there are children watching that, you don't want them to see that. Like, why are you showing him laying on the ground multiple times? Why are you showing the same replay of the same play as many times as you are? I get in real time, you can't control it, and you have to leave the play going. But you did not need to show the replay. You could have cut to Kirk Herbstreit and Al Michaels in the booth just talking about stuff. And saying like, hey, we're not going to show this replay. You could have stayed on commercial break for longer. What they did was unacceptable. And I know Amazon Prime is new to this game, like fully doing it themselves. But you would never see that with the NFL Network, with CBS, with Fox, with ESPN. So I think the fact of the matter is it's showing the flaws in their system as well. But also, you can't do that. You can't show that. That's not okay.
I think another potential side effect of this is I personally have not been a fan of Thursday Night Football ever since they started making it like every single week. I'm okay with it when it came to like Thanksgiving games, but honestly at this point, this kind of thing shows that Thursday Night Football should not be a thing because Tua did not have near enough ample time to recover. Even if he didn't have a concussion, he didn't have time to recover from an injury before he was thrown out there. Like, he didn't really practice all week because he was dealing with a back injury or whatever.
Players have been saying for years that they hate Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care if you're competing against college football. Move it to Saturday nights. I'm okay with a
Or-
Saturday night game.
Or only do Thursday night games for teams coming off a bye week. So starting
Bingo.
week 5,
Or that.
you have 2 teams coming off a bye week in week 4. Okay, they can play that Thursday night game. You play that from week 5 to week 12 or however long the bye weeks are. And you can do it week 1, because no teams have played.
Mm-hmm.
I could get behind that.
And maybe the other weeks of the season where you're not doing anything, do 2 Monday night games.
Bingo. You fill your primetime game quota, and you protect players' health.
Heck, you can do 2 Sunday night games too.
I mean, I don't think they would want to do that as much as like
a Monday night.
You could do it.
On Monday
Well,
night,
oh yeah, because Monday night you can do 2 different time slots.
You could do East Coast 7 o'clock game and West Coast 10 o'clock game.
You don't have to do what they did this week. They did in week 2 this year, where game 1 starts and then an hour later game 2 starts.
Yeah, I keep them on separate times.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Well, that's what that's what they used to do.
for a league that keeps talking about how they care about player safety, they cannot sit there and say Thursday night games are a good idea. It's all about the money at that point. That's my.
And you could even for Monday Night Football for the 2 games, you could give 1 to Amazon and 1 to ESPN. Like if you want to keep Amazon's deal in place, and then when you're that week 5 to 12, give Amazon the Thursday and give ESPN the only Monday. There are ways around this that you can completely figure out. And I think the fact of the matter is that if the NFL really cares about player safety, they'll look into these initiatives and matters.
With how popular Monday night doubleheaders are, like in years past, week 1 Monday Night Football being a doubleheader was always a highlight of opening week. I don't understand why they just haven't started doing it anyways. That would be a no-brainer for me.
I agree. I think we're all on the same page.
Yeah, we are.
All right, NFL, call us up. We got ideas. Listen to us.
Call the joke.
Listen to the average.
We
shows.
we speak for the fans because we are fans.
What are we? The
Speak for the
Lorax?
Joes.
What are we? We are the Joes. We speak for the Joes.
Oh, we are the Joes. We speak for the fans.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. All right. Anyway,
That's our
Actually,
second
in this
piece
case,
of
we
merch.
speak for the pros.
Yeah, true.
well, that's true because the pros are like no more Thursday night.
Hey, that's our second T-shirt design. We already have aggressive mediocrity. Now we've got another one.
Well, we need to get you guys t-shirts because you guys are wearing baseball stuff on a night we're talking about football. So,
It's a comfort.
it's a
now, to be fair, I'm just
comfortable
wearing a t-shirt. So,
I was gonna say JR's got the red, white, and blue flowing of the American
Patriotic,
flag on his
man.
chest.
That's right.
Anyway, can we also, all right, in terms of like the week 4 stuff, can we talk about how many teams are sitting at 2-2? Like the entire NFC West is 2-2 right now. Like how crazy is that?
Really unusual.
But this is one of the reasons why I love the NFL so much is because there is so much parity. And this is actually there's more parity this year than there usually is.
But how many
'cause-
teams?
Go
How
ahead.
many of these teams are good 2-2, and how many of these teams are lucky 2-2?
Who cares? It's good football. Well,
I mean, is
sometimes.
it good football? Let's
minus the 49ers Broncos, but
Right.
Oh Lord, I really wish I'd been here to talk about that game. I was okay. So my girlfriend and I were going to a sushi place in the Caesar's Palace Casino, like while that game was going on, and we were walking by like one of like the outside bars. I saw that TV, and I was doing this walk, like watching the TV as we're walking, completely ignoring what she's talking about.
and then you tripped and fell flat on your face.
No.
That would explain the ugliness. Oh wait, he was just born
I
with
see him
that.
drop back in the end zone, and I stop and I go, he's gonna, and he steps out, and I go, out loud, people around me, he did it. I was so
It's a Dan
excited.
Orlovsky.
I was so excited.
Well, did you see Dan Orlovsky on Twitter goes, I'm
He's like-
finally not the only one?
Yeah, I loved it. I put that on the thumbnail for last week.
Yes, I loved it.
But yeah, but there's so many teams that are 2-2 in the league. I think there are like half the league is 2-2 right now, and it just shows that any team can win and any team can lose in any given week. I don't care. It doesn't matter how well they're playing. Any team can win. Any team can lose unless you're Eagles or Texans.
Any
Well,
given Sunday.
Well, can we talk about there's only one division where there are no 2-2 teams, and surprisingly has a team 4-0 and 2 teams 3-1 being the NFC East. Did anybody see that coming?
No,
Cooper
not with the
Rush is
Giants
my
being
savior.
3-1.
September football is basically preseason. It's just
Hey,
the early season is always so erratic.
I would like to say I've heard a comparison of Cooper Rush that I really like because I think it rings true. Cooper Rush reminds a lot of people, and I've heard this on the broadcast the other day, of Andy Dalton.
He even looks like him.
I could
fellow
see that.
Red Rocket. And I
Like,
think
yeah.
that's a
not
great
just the hair
comparison.
color. I mean, like, you stand them side by side, and you would not be shocked if they were related.
Yeah,
That's true. Cousins, something like that.
cousins. I'm
But-
just saying, as much as I hate to admit it, Cooper Rush is good for the Dallas Cowboys. And yes, I actually called him by their proper name this week.
And Brendan, by the way, I did bring up the tweet that you sent me about Cooper Rush. Better watch out, or he'll end up being quarterback for the Panthers. I talked about it on our last episode.
Yeah, you better. Let's be real. Anybody saying that he should continue starting once Dak is healthy is a fool.
No, he should not. Dak is definitely better, but you are very glad to have a backup of Cooper Rush's
Yes,
quality,
you are.
just like the 49ers are glad they still have Jimmy G.
Because especially with
Jimmy
Dak,
G is
I mean,
just Kirk Cousins West.
but how many times has Dak been hurt? You know, I mean, he's
How many
been
more
hurt
times
a
will Dak
lot.
be hurt this season?
Right.
He's the Christian McCaffrey of quarterbacks, maybe.
Yeah.
He's. I mean, name another quarterback that's getting injured as much as Dak.
Tua Tagovailoa.
He's been injured like
Dude,
twice.
I'm sorry.
Ben Roethlisberger. That's actually a more apt comparison. A
He
guy
was
who
just
seems to
old.
miss one-
He was-
No, I mean, for his career, like one to two games.
Zach
a year he
Wilson?
missed, it almost seemed like
Ben
due to,
just
some
always
injury.
just always liked to whine. He just always liked to be considered the tough guy. That
Listen, I don't.
And then he would
that's
wear
all.
and then he would ride a motorcycle without a helmet on.
right,
Okay,
yeah,
I don't dispute that at all, but I'm saying like for constantly being on the injured report.
yeah.
That's fair.
Well, Tom Brady was always on the injured report.
I was about to say, did you guys see that? Did you see that they put out a report about how Brady was held out of practice today with a sore shoulder and a hurt finger, and everyone on Twitter is blowing up about, is it his ring finger?
Well,
Oh,
hold on.
Lord.
I would like to say that Todd Bowles came out at the beginning of the season saying Wednesday was a veterans rest day for him if he wanted it, and today is Wednesday, so it is considered a veterans rest day as well. But
Now let's be real. If he was on taking a veteran's rest day, that would mean he'd had to go home to Giselle, so he probably wasn't willing to take it.
Hey, he might not have a Giselle to go home too soon.
Dude.
Although, can you imagine Tom Brady going back on the market as the most eligible bachelor out there, and
okay,
all
question
of the
is-
tail that guy would have? I mean, come on.
question is, over under of how many weeks after the divorce does it take for Zach Wilson to slide into Giselle's DMs?
I'm gonna go ahead and say how many weeks after the divorce?
Yeah. Well,
Negative
Vegas.
14. He will know before the divorce is finalized.
He's already done it.
Oh yeah.
He got that dog in him.
He got that dog. Well, he played quite well this week.
You know,
He
play.
did. He caught a
he's-
touchdown pass.
He can probably just drop Giselle a DM and say, "Hey Giselle, let's ride."
We gotta say let's ride that's a requirement now. We gotta have we need to have a let's ride counter in our corner or something like that.
But also, this is the greatest fact I've heard. The fact of the matter is that Zach Wilson has more touchdown receptions in New York than Kenny Galladay.
I saw that.
Hey, can I petition if we're gonna start doing a let's ride counter? Can we do a fact of the matter is counter as well?
I don't have enough time to edit all that.
Our counter doesn't go that high.
Your editor doesn't stay awake that long. That's what it is.
That's true.
Just take the 8
That's-
and turn it sideways.
Anyway,
I was just really happy that I could see the Bengals win on Thursday night, and then within the span of about a half hour, see the entire AFC North implode on Sunday afternoon.
yeah, that's one of the. You are one team away from having the same situation as the NFC West, where 3 of your teams are 2-2, and then you have the Steelers at 1-3.
It makes me very, very happy that the AFC is imploding, like your division, because now my Bengals pick looks a little bit safer to win the division this year.
Just had
Ravens
to
have trailed for
relax.
14 seconds this year.
Yep,
And how many losses do they have?
2.
2.
So I feel pretty confident in that Ravens pick still.
Speaking of picks, Week 4 picks. I went 4-1. The only one
All
I
that
missed
matters
was
is that the
Dolphins. What's that?
All that matters is I did better than Aiden.
Hey, JR is just happy that his one correct pick is still the Bengals.
That's 2 weeks in a row.
That's 2 weeks in a row. One pick corrected. It's the Bengals.
Are we going for 3
Now,
this week,
I will
JR?
say your Ravens picks looked really good until the second half.
I know. I was feeling pretty good about that for a little while.
You know what?
And-
I really did not think the Jaguars would play as poorly as they did against the Eagles. And they were still in the game for most of it. They could have made a comeback in the game. It was one of those ones where the score was a lot closer than the game really was. The Eagles just kind of had that in hand.
I'm really mad because I should have been 3-2.
You should have.
You
Asterisk
know what?
game.
It's your fault that your pride got in the way.
Yeah, you're right.
You have to own up to it.
I do own up to it. I own it.
It's just I wonder if I would have gotten the Dolphins pick right if Bridgewater played the whole game instead of starting with Tua.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Because you wonder if his Tua's play was actually affected by it before he even got taken off the field.
He wasn't looking terrible before he left, though.
He looked pretty good before.
He had a couple of really nice throws. That throw, it was almost like it was a out route, and he dropped it right over the linebacker's head. That was
that was a perfect
toss.
throw. Yeah.
That right there is why I like Tua. It was not a arm strength throw. That was a touch throw, and he is excellent at that.
I would also like to point out that we've kept our streak of only one of us getting an underdog pick right.
Yeah.
And I got it this week.
Also,
Was it? I feel like it was a little bit cheap because they were playing the Steelers, but they were still the underdog.
Hey,
Yep.
I'd just like to point out the fact that I give respect to Patrick Mahomes because he's making throws that no one should ever make.
Eh. And it looked like a pretty pass.
It looked beautiful.
Well, why not do that? He's open. Just float it. Just do a jump shot.
Any player is open for Patrick Mahomes. But now, where does this put us in the standings? Where did I put this?
This is what I want to see.
This is where the standings are at. So with my 4-1 this week, I run to 10-5. I am the only player above 500. Aiden
I'm not in last.
Aiden is 6-9. Nice. Brendan is 7-8, and JR is 4-11.
The comeback is on.
Hey, your Bengals picks are still riding true. So
JR Nation, let's ride.
Oh Lord.
Day 4-11. All right.
Hey, since I announced that Day were 0-2, they've won both games.
That's true. This is true.
Hey, you want to know who else has won 2 games since a certain event happened? Since the Falcons started negotiating with free agent tackle Will Compton, they've won both their games.
Yeah, he worked out and they did not sign him. I was pissed.
But they have been talking to him, so the momentum will continue.
What an obscure mark on the timeline there. That's like the most off the wall. Like, oh, I'm gonna find a stat just to fit this perfectly.
No. Okay, so he's he hasn't played like a year or 2. He's pretty active on Twitter. What's it?
He does a podcast.
Field Yates from ESPN tweeted that out.
He also does a podcast with Taylor Lewan, that they interview players and stuff like that. It's a pretty good podcast.
Yes.
Gotcha. I just missed the context of that. My bad.
You did. Completely missed it.
It's okay. All right. So now that anything else you guys want to talk about with week 4 before we move on to week 5?
I think we should add a column for mascot picks.
Is that the coin flip?
Is that the coin? I missed the coin flip. Brendan, can we ask you to do one of your games as a coin flip this week?
No.
Aw.
So speaking of the games
if I have
this
another week like this, I might turn to the coin.
But hey, we all know that Jared is going to get one of his picks right this week because he can pick the Bengals.
Yes.
That's one of our games this week. All right, so here are the games we are picking from this week. Our primetime game, the Battle of the Horses on Thursday Night Football, Colts Broncos. Sunday Night Football, a really good AFC North battle between the Bengals and the Ravens. And then what could have been a good AFC West battle between the Raiders and the Chiefs, but the Raiders kind of stumbled. They got their win, though. They are no longer winless.
I I apologize for this pun in advance. Can I gallop away from this first matchup? Because this is a terrible matchup. I know. I said it was a terrible pun coming.
If you knew it was that bad, you shouldn't have said it.
Yeah. It was worth it.
Bad pun counter. Ding. Okay. So, Colts, Broncos, Thursday Night Football.
The battle for Peyton Manning.
I saw that there was... I watched another YouTuber who was talking like he does his picks every week, and he was saying not even Peyton Manning wants to watch this game. So here's the crazy thing: is both of these teams just don't have their star running back. Jonathan Taylor's out for the Colts. Javonte Williams is done for the season for the Broncos, and so they'll turn to Melvin fumbles all the time Gordon.
And Hines, I can't really think it's like Nyheim
Hines, who is more really a pass catching running back.
So
which is still he's not bad at it.
The Colts are really missing Marlon Mack right now.
I want to go out of I want to come out the gate first in this Kentucky Derby.
Yes, I followed it.
Thank you. Part of me really wants to take the home team by virtue of being at home and by virtue of the Colts playing so bad for the first 4 weeks. But the Broncos have looked like shit the first 4 weeks too. And I think one of these teams is going to have a get-right game, and it's going to be the 1-2-1 Colts.
Honestly, whoever wins this game, it's a get-right game because both of these teams ain't right.
Yeah.
All right, who's next?
Russell Wilson's lost.
Yeah, this game has me anticipating another snoozer, unfortunately. But definitely without Jonathan Taylor, and Matt Ryan has not done much this year so far to give me confidence in him. So I'll take the Broncos while holding my nose.
I forgot to do my score prediction. 14-7. No, that's too many touchdowns.
Too many touchdowns. Yeah.
15-9.
No, not
all field goals.
No, a touchdown.
No. Here, make it a scoregami. Do it like 8-2 or something like that.
Nah, that's too much. 16-9. 16-9. That's good. There's a touchdown in there.
Okay, a defensive touchdown, probably.
Or like short field, like fumble recovery down to like the 3.
I'm thinking 11-6.
There you go. Wasn't that the score of the 11-10 was the Broncos 49ers game.
Yeah.
I'm thinking this is going to be a 2-0 game. It's going to be baseball at this rate.
Yeah.
I want to pick neither of these teams.
Are you going to go for the tie? Because we'll give you an extra win if you get the tie correct.
I'm not going to pick a tie.
Totally a bonus point if you pick a tie.
I'm not going to pick a tie, but as much as it pains me to do this, I'm going to go along with Brendan for the simple fact that the Colts still have this guy named Michael Pittman.
Pittman is good.
That is literally the extent of my of my choices.
I do think Matt Ryan's old. I do think Matt Ryan does not look very good this year. I do, however, think that he is not going to play terribly in every single game this year. And I really cannot stand Russell Wilson. Have you seen the Subway commercial? The Danger Witch?
Well, despite that, I'm going Broncos. And I think there is a key injury on the defensive side of the Colts that I think is going to be a factor, and that is
Jack
Leonard. Yeah. I think that is a key loss for the Colts that is going to maybe be more of an impact than the loss of Jonathan Taylor for this game. That's a big member of your defense to lose, and I think the Broncos are going to be able to take advantage as long as Melvin Gordon doesn't fumble it every time he touches it.
Which is not a guarantee.
No, it's not a guarantee at all. I think he has the highest fumble rate in the league. I don't know if I'm making that up or not.
Honestly, it's a stat that feels right, so let's just go with it.
There you go. And also, the Broncos have home field advantage mile high.
By the way, that's key in any stat. As long as it feels right, it's probably true. Remember that.
Oh, jeez.
I'm also going to go with this because I did it last week. Russell Wilson is 1-2 in his career versus the Colts. Matt Ryan is 3-1 versus the Broncos in his career. Neither with either of these teams, but
I was about to say they're on different teams now, so
Hey, but Matt Ryan is 2-0 in Denver, so he knows how to play in Mile High.
Didn't you make that same argument last week, but you were wrong?
No, because I said Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh, no, you
was
said
gonna win
49ers. You said 49ers. It was
Yeah.
the Jimmy G against the Rams. You were right that
Exactly.
week.
I was right.
You're right.
I was correct. So
I
we're gonna-
retract
You're right.
I retract my statement. I retract.
A blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
Rally squirrel.
Rally
Anyway.
squirrel.
You don't even know what rally squirrel is, do you?
Wasn't it a Cubs game?
It was the
not?
last time. So remember, the last time the Phillies were in the playoffs? Sorry to
2009.
digress to baseball. 2011 was the year of the Rally Squirrel. That was the Rally Squirrel series with the Cardinals and Phillies, which was the last time the Phillies were in the playoffs. But anyway, we're talking about baseball now. We'll talk about baseball next episode, so stay tuned for that one. Moving on to the next game. This is the game of the week when it comes to the primetime games. It's going to be the Cincinnati Bengals going to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. JR, do you want to lead us off?
Yeah, I mean, Joe Burrow and the gang are getting it going. Now the Ravens have definitely looked really good this year. I mean, they narrowly lost the only 2 games they've lost. They could easily be 4-0. Lamar's been playing well. That being said, Joe Burrow and the Bengals offense shredded the Ravens last season twice, albeit with some injuries, but I still think, with the weapons they have and the way they're starting to play well, they know how to beat this Ravens team. So, Houday, 3 in a row, baby.
No surprise. And there's JR. You know what? I should have picked the Colts because I should have known that JR's pick of the Broncos is going to be wrong. Oh well. I'll go next here. I agree with JR. I think the Ravens secondary is weak, and that's one of the reasons why the Bills were able to get back into the game the way they did this past week. And honestly, how the oh gosh, who did they lose to late? It wasn't the Jets. That was the Browns that lost to the Jets.
Dolphins. It was the
Dolphins. Yeah, Tua torching the Dolphins with Tyreek and with Waddle. I'm going to go with the Bengals, mostly because I don't trust the Ravens secondary enough to keep them in the game.
I'll go next. I'll let Brennan be his outlier here that we know he's going to be. Joe Burrow in his career
Oh, he's going off that side again.
versus the Ravens. In his first ever game, went 19 for 30 with no touchdowns and an interception and was sacked 7 times. Second career game, 23 for 38 with 3 touchdowns. Joe Burrow, his third game against the Ravens, 37 of 46 with 525 yards and 4 touchdowns with 0 interceptions. You know what this tells me? This tells me that Joe Burrow loves playing against Baltimore. He is 2-0 in Baltimore. Give me Joe Burrow. Joe Shiesty, baby. Joe Shiesty, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. They're out here. They're going to win. They're going to take the lead in the AFC North this week.
So I guess there's 2 schools of thought here. I can trust the immortal wisdom of JR and go with the Bengals because we know he's going to be right. Or I can completely counter your statement there, Andrew, and cite the fact that this Baltimore secondary that did get toasted by Tua completely neutered Josh Allen. He was 19 for 36 for 213 yards.
Okay, split first half and second half.
Dude, I
They let him back in the game.
I like Baltimore's odds in this game. I think that they're going to win this one.
Seriously though, split that first half, second half. See what it was.
I actually don't even know how to do
But
that.
here's the most important stat out of this game. Here's the most important stat out of this game. The Ravens mascot is on year-long IR. We cannot forget about this.
Okay.
It's a whole Twitter campaign they're doing. But here's the real stat of this one. The Bengals in primetime are one of the most successful primetime teams there is. And I think that the Bengals, too, riding the momentum that they have riding in right now, it's going to shock a lot of people. And I think this defense has just shown it's gotten better and better each game. And the offensive line that was dreadful the first 2 games has gotten better and better each game.
So I saw a tweet earlier today showing a clip from, I think it was ESPN's NFL Countdown, where they were literally talking about the Bengals offense and how every single week their percentage of snaps from shotgun versus under center has been they've been increasing the percentage of plays from under center every single week. And that I think it was Marcus Spears was talking about, as a defensive lineman, it's a lot harder for defensive linemen to diagnose plays when the quarterback is under center than they are when they're in shotgun. And they were talking about how the Bengals have been playing a lot better as they have increased the number of snaps that Burrow has taken under center as opposed to shotgun. So another piece of correlation does not equal causation, but it's still showing that the Bengals have been playing better since they've been trending the under center snaps upward. I thought that was just an interesting piece. It's like a 8-minute segment on NFL Countdown, or I don't know if it's Countdown. It's some one of the ESPN shows, but I thought it was really interesting. So check that out if you want to see the full details on that. They had a great conversation about it, especially some insight from former NFL players. It's really cool. Last game, Raiders versus the Chiefs. Monday Night Football. This is, again, a game I wish they could start flexing, because I'm just going to go ahead and say it. The Chiefs just absolutely obliterated the Bucs. Sorry, Aiden.
No, that was not an obliteration.
It was. It's a lot. Like the game was never once was really close.
Outside, if the Bucs did not fumble the opening kickoff, it would have been a 3-point game.
So pretty much the whole game.
Yeah, that's why I just rolled my eyes. I'm like, whatever.
I got to defend my team. I have to defend my team.
You didn't defend it very well.
Your team's quarterback threw away his marriage with a supermodel so he could lose in the wild card round.
Silence.
In fairness,
I'm choosing the Chiefs. The Chiefs are looking really good right now. I don't think the Raiders are going to be able to stop them. End of story.
You know what?
Don't do it.
I'm going to start it right now. I'm taking the Chiefs. But as somebody who lives relatively close to Kansas City, as someone who watches a lot of Chiefs games and has watched a lot of Chiefs primetime games, I can say that the Raiders very frequently upset the Chiefs in primetime. Like, it seems to happen more often than it should. Like, the Raiders, like the Broncos and the Chiefs rivalry tends to be, pretty lopsided depending on like which teams they are. It's never really even at any given point in time. The Raiders, no matter how bad they are sometimes, find a way to beat the Chiefs at the stupidest of moments where the Chiefs are at their height. I would not.
They did it last year.
I would not be surprised if the Raiders won.
That's fair.
I'm still taking the Chiefs.
You will never catch me. Oh, go ahead, JR.
Well, I was going to say, I think it's going to be a really good game, personally.
I do, too.
You will never catch me dead picking the Raiders. I have a hatred for the Raiders. Go Chiefs.
Is there a reason for that?
Just because the Raiders, every time the Bucs play them in the playoffs, are the Bucs' little brother at this point, and I just also don't like the Raiders. I think even though, like, you took them out of Oakland to put them in Vegas, my favorite was always seeing the Raiders fans in Oakland. So I just think that they absolutely robbed Oakland of a fun football team. And Raiders faithful is always one of the coolest franchises, but they're also the most annoying franchise of all time.
I mean, Derek Carr is Kirk Cousins' desert. Kirk Cousins.
Aggressive mediocrity.
Like Jimmy Garoppolo is Kirk Cousins' West. Derek Carr is Kirk Cousins' desert.
Then who's Kirk Cousins' South and East?
Well, Kirk Cousins is actually Derek Carr North.
Oh.
Okay. Can we get this on paper somewhere? I need to follow.
Yeah, I need a Venn diagram to follow.
You need to get a map of the U.S. and draw all the lines.
And by the way, Kirk Cousins' East is Mac Jones.
That's fair.
Hey, Kenny Pickett looks like the real deal. Just saying.
Yeah, he do.
I will say the three interceptions were not his fault.
Well, a
One
Hail
of them
Mary,
was.
a drop pass for when your 6'4" receiver can't go over a 5'9" defender.
Yep.
And then a late throw into double coverage that absolutely deserved to be picked off. Like the interception really wasn't his fault, but it was a stupid ass throw, and he kind of deserved to be punished for it.
Should have been incomplete though. All right, JR.
Are we clean sweeping here, Jr.?
Yeah. I can't very well pull the trigger on the Raiders, although I do think it's going to be a close game. You know, the Raiders finally gave the ball and relied on Josh Jacobs last week, and he rewarded them with a big game. And I think, you know, if they can follow that formula, that could be a path for them to get a win in Arrowhead. But I can't bank on that. Not the way the Chiefs look like they're playing now after last week.
Kirk Cousins South, Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
That is facts.
That is a great comparison.
All right. Our locks of the week, and Aiden has vehemently requested that he go first.
So with that,
I want to know why.
In front of him. No. Let him go.
I this is the one that I wanted to take, and I was not sure what game I was going to take it first. And then I look at these games and I go, this just makes way too much sense not to go with it. And yes, I don't care that I'm going to be Homer. I really don't care. You have to go with Tampa Bay against the Falcons. The Falcons are probably the worst 2-2 team there is. And the fact of the matter is the Bucs are going to be playing angry after last week, and they're going to come out here and just absolutely decimate the Falcons. 41-10 final score.
All right. I will say this in the Falcons' favor. They are 4-0 against the spread this year.
Spread don't mean shit.
They have lost both their games by a combined 5 points. I don't think they win that game. I do think that
you think they cover? They cover. What's the spread right now?
It's not. The score has it at -8.5. Fox has it as -9. I think they lose by a touchdown or slightly less.
Fair enough.
I still say 41-10.
Isn't Cordell Patterson out this week though?
Yeah, well, he's out for. I think he's on IR now.
He's out.
But did you see Algier last week?
He looked good.
Yeah,
that's fair.
The offensive line could just decide to pass protect at least a little bit.
Fair enough.
At the snap, oh god, there's pressure. Throw it away.
Us.
I mean, it would help.
Sounds like a quarterback I know.
Mariota.
Yeah.
No, wait. My quarterback throws it into the defensive line. Never mind. 5 tip passes at the line for Baker Mayfield.
Who's next?
Actually, I need to check my. Oh no, I have my lock. Never mind.
I'm going to be a little controversial here, and I'm not going.
Surprise!
I'm not going to take a team that's favored. I'm going to take.
This is actually the second time you've done this, and you actually got it the first time, right?
Yeah, but it was a +1 underdog. So
it was the Packers Bucks, right? Yeah.
I'm taking the Seattle Seahawks going on the road to New Orleans.
Screw you! That was my upset.
Somehow favored 5.5 over the Seahawks. I get New Orleans is at home, but they're coming back from London. They're coming back from London with no bye and playing an offense like Seattle's. Now, I'm not saying Seattle's offense is awesome. They played a miserable Detroit defense. But I think Seattle's offense is at least good. Facing a team that just came back from London, I think that it's ridiculous that the Saints are favored by that much over them.
Geno Smith is America's quarterback, baby.
Yes, he is.
Geno Smith season.
Screw you, Brendan. That was my upset pick. Dang it! Now I gotta find another one.
Now on the flip side to Brendan's pick, I'm going as my lock with the other team coming back from London, which is the Vikings against the Bears.
And you just stole my lock. Dang it! Crap!
There's no rule that says you have to pick a different one.
There.
I know, but I don't like picking the same teams as others. It just makes it feel like I'm copying you guys.
It was such a natural transition. I had to go ahead and slide in there.
I'm glad you did.
JR sliding into this conversation like Zach Wilson.
Fortunately, I had a backup for my upset pick, but I need to find a new favorite. And I don't want to see. I don't like picking favorites that are like too obvious either. Although to be fair, I picked the Chargers over the Texans last week.
I was gonna say, and I think I picked the most obvious favorite, or one of the most obvious favorites this week.
I said
it's not
I don't
the most
like
obvious favorite. The most obvious favorite is Buffalo.
Yeah. Hey, just remember,
That's
Brendan almost got punished for doing that last week.
What I do?
Wait.
You chose the most obvious favorite last week, and you almost got punished for it.
I did.
Keyword being almost.
It's
Almost.
the NFL.
Hey, close is only good in horseshoes and hand grenades.
And nuclear weapons.
Yeah, that's true.
That was
All right, you know what? To the detriment of myself
Oh no.
and being a Panthers fan, I am taking the San Francisco 49ers over the Panthers. I don't trust my team. I don't trust Baker Mayfield. I don't trust Matt Rule. Give me the 49ers over the Panthers.
So seeing as how all of us stole your locks and underdogs, would you like to go first on underdogs? So that
Can
way
I
you
please?
Let him go first.
So this is my backup one because I thought it was too radical, and I went with one that I felt a little bit safer with the Seahawks. But since Brendan took the Seahawks, I'll go with my more radical pick. And I gotta see. I know who I'm picking. I just gotta remember who they're playing. Oh, that's right. This team is playing really bad right now, so I have really no reason to pick them other than the fact I think the team that they're playing is beatable. And I don't even have this team on my upload yet, so I gotta find their logo. It's a team we haven't used yet, and that is the Washington Commanders.
Wow.
You said really bad, and the team are playing beatable. I'm like, well, I know what game this is.
I know. We all did. I think we all did.
Over the Tennessee Titans.
By the way, for as bad as the Commanders are, and as much as I think that their name is a lame duck, those black uniforms were sick.
There were some people saying that they didn't look good? I was like, I thought they looked pretty darn
Well,
good.
the W on the front of the helmet looked dumb, but everything else looked great.
Yeah,
I didn't even notice that, honestly.
I only noticed it in like the advertising stuff. Like they were getting hyped for it. I went, yeah, that's
Well, yeah, I just watched highlights of the game, so they weren't showing like the front of the helmets,
yeah,
so
there you go.
didn't matter. All right, hopefully I didn't steal any one of y'all's. Nah, okay, good.
One of you two go first. I want to go last here.
I'll go ahead and go. For my underdog, I thought the way you were talking about something radical and spicy, Andrew, I thought you were going this direction, but I am going with the Cardinals dealing the Eagles their first loss.
God dang
the
it,
season.
JR.
I think Kyler Murray steps it up. He has a big game out there in the desert, and Jalen Hurts and those Eagles take a little dive.
You know, I have a thought on the Cardinals in that I think it's kind of ridiculous they had to include the film study clause in his contract because really, when it comes to the Cardinals playbook, what is there to study? The only plays this team runs are 4 slants, 4 curls, 4 outs, 4 goes, and 4 digs. Those are the only 5 passing plays.
Don't forget inside.
Cliff Kingsbury is one of the worst offensive play callers and designers in the NFL.
And then his 2 run plays, inside zone or outside zone.
Correct.
Or Kyler, just run.
Kyler, figure it out.
Or
they ran a few design runs for Kyler against the Panthers, and honestly, the only reason I don't trust your pick is because I saw the Cardinals play the Panthers, and if they were playing any other team, they probably would have lost. Because they were down 10-3 at halftime.
You know what? The NFL is a stupid league sometimes, and a juggernaut like the Eagles can lose to a team like the Cardinals.
Again, which is why I love the
Seem
NFL
crazier.
so much.
So I was looking through these locks and the spreads in this week, and I saw some of them. You know, I looked at the New York Giants heading to London, and then I remembered, who the heck are they going to have playing quarterback this week?
Saquon.
No, they have Jake Fromm. They have Jake Fromm. State Farm.
No, Saquon just needs to play every position, and they'll be fine.
Yes,
He'll
exactly.
throw the ball to himself.
Exactly.
I looked at an interesting line of the Cleveland Browns being +2.5. I looked at the Houston Texans being +7 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. But there's one that stuck out to me for a similar reason that I wasn't going with the Giants. I'm going with the Detroit Lions over the New England Patriots for the simple fact that we don't know who's playing quarterback for the New England Patriots.
Well, I will say Bailey Zappi was the first rookie quarterback to throw a touchdown this year.
Bailey Zappi is Mac Jones. They put him in a cloning vat and made 2 of them.
But here's my thing.
That's what Bill Belichick does.
And here's the stat. the Lions have the most points per game scored in the NFL this season. They also have the most points per game given up this season.
However,
The moist. Yeah.
Everything's moist around Dan Campbell.
Moist?
Everything's moist around Dan Campbell. But I think they figure it out this week. I think Bailey Zappi, doesn't know what the heck hits him. And I think Aiden Hutchinson has about 5 sacks this week. And Jared Goff throws about 7 touchdowns over this abysmal New England defense.
Well, isn't there still a chance that Hoyer plays?
There is.
He's questionable with a concussion. So who knows?
So probably. Okay, let me just put it this way. He shouldn't play.
But
in the current climate, he probably will not.
To put Detroit's defensive struggles in perspective here, they've given up 141 points on the year. The next closest team is at 115.
Which is that?
That would be the Seahawks.
Well, and they both just scored 40 points on each other last week.
Yeah, exactly.
And then
it's gonna be either a very high scoring affair or a very lopsided game, but I think whichever way it comes out, Lions on top, and I just think that they're better than Bailey Zappi.
So,
fair enough.
You guys made a lot of talk about radical.
He's going Pittsburgh.
I didn't see anything that radical. When Aiden took Tampa, I desperately wanted to take Atlanta to spite him. But I
actually almost did as well.
There was something better on the table. I think that even though they're on the road, the Steelers' offense looks good with Kenny Pickett at the helm.
Yes.
And I think the Steelers are going to go into Buffalo, and they're going to shock the Bills. They are going to shock.
Free win for all of us. Free win for all of us.
I was going to say, I'll say this. There's radical, and then there's just plain dumb.
Okay.
That's dumb.
I do not see any world where the Bill. When you see a minus 14 spread in the NFL, like that is.
But we're not going by spread. We're going by straight up wins here.
I know. What I'm saying is like that is reflective of the general feeling towards this game. Whenever you see a game like that, and you have a rookie quarterback starting who looked good when he came into the game, like he moved the ball better than Trubisky ever could have.
Brennan, we already knew you were the ugliest on this show. We didn't realize you were the dumbest, too. I thought that was reserved for me.
We'll see what happens. Could be wrong. Could easily be wrong.
Andrew, can we get a timestamp of this moment? I need to come back to this next week so we can just play this clip over and over.
All right. Now, to be fair, we were all talking about radical. The only radical part about my pick was that the Commanders are not playing good football, and it's kind of weird to pick them as a winner. Brendan is definitely radical because they're playing the frickin' Bills.
Yeah,
pretty much the consensus Super Bowl winner pick this year.
There's always a problem when it comes to consensus in the NFL.
But you're talking about the Kenny Pickett against the Bills defense. What you're forgetting about is the Bills offense versus the Steelers defense, who I'm pretty sure are still without TJ Watt.
Do you remember the year where the Panthers were running over everybody and they were like 13-0, and they went up against a 4 or 5 win Falcons team and got their butts beat?
Define butts beat. It was a close game.
It was a close game, but it was like a massive shock because that team had no business being anywhere near them.
Yeah, because the Panthers at that point were cruising.
All I'm saying is the NFL frequently does this. This frequently happens in this league, where a team that is so obviously favored and so obviously better than another team tends to lose.
Tends to? Saying more often than not?
I'm saying it happens.
It's always possible.
It happens frequently enough to pick, and I'm standing by it.
I have
good for you. We'll review this next week and see what happened.
I have a new acronym for the NFL instead of the No Fun League. And Andrew, cover your ears in dad mode. The no give a fuck about player safety league.
No GAFA.
That's a lot of letters.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to redesign that logo.
You just put a medical tent because it doesn't mean anything to them anyway.
Just put the Swiss flag, red
Yeah,
cross.
exactly.
Oh my goodness. All right, well, those are our picks for our week 5 games. Yes, I did pick against my Panthers for once. I usually try to avoid that just to like take the pain away, but I had to this week. Like this Baker just looks horrible. So I'm going to keep talking about my team and commiserating, and y'all are just going to have to listen to it.
Look, here's my thing. I tried last week to go against my Bucks. I couldn't do it. And this week, the matchup was too good for me to not pick it as a favorite this week. There will be a week where it doesn't happen.
I will say this. I just comparing Brendan and Aiden's picks here, I can see the Falcons beating the Bucks more than I can see the Steelers beating the Bills.
I really wanted to take it, but I realized that this would be
Do it.
I've already lost.
But see, that's the thing. Like, I would have picked the Falcons to upset the Bucks before I picked the Steelers to upset the Bills.
Way before.
Way.
You would have.
Why didn't you?
I'm still picking the Steelers.
I'm surprised because you've picked the Falcons before.
I have.
At the wrong time.
He's got a feeling. He's got a feeling.
Have a feeling.
Mr. Analytics has a feeling.
I love how I've been more statistical than he has. And we came into this thinking he was going to be Mr. Analytics, and I was going to be
talked enough about baseball.
Huh?
Haven't talked about enough about baseball.
That's true. He's more analytic when it comes to baseball, which
football
we will be talking
is
about later.
a sport where the stats you see tend to poorly reflect the actual play.
I'm just saying,
it's a lot harder to apply analytics to football than it is to baseball.
In baseball, you can count everything, right? In football, yards, rushing yards. Oh, but is that really? Is a lot of rushing yards really tell you that a running back was good, or does it tell you that the play calling was good? The offensive line blocked well, the defenses were not very good that they were facing that week. And
I'm just saying, I'm 1-0 when going with football stats, and I intend to go 2-0 this week. Actually, 3-0 because I gave 2 different stats. My Jimmy Garoppolo stat about being undefeated against LA, and this week I pulled Matt Ryan and Joe Burrow against in statistical. I'm 1-0 when giving stats. I plan on going.
Oh Lord, that's just that's barely like that's statistics only. In a sense.
Hey Aiden, how are you on the overall record though compared to Brendan?
I'm not last.
I didn't say it. I said compared to Brendan. I said compared to Brendan.
I could be destined for dropping below you or increasing the lead.
Yeah, you could.
I'll just sit up at the top of the standings looking down and watching you guys fight about it and be like, oh, that's nice.
You know what we need to do? I like that we have like our normal set spots. From here on out, we need to start organizing our little heads in the column based on the order of our standings.
There. Like that.
There you go. I stay where I was at. JR and Brendan just do a little flip-flop.
It's like Hollywood Squares.
No,
Great show.
It is a great show. I love that.
Storm Shadow for the block.
I was more of a Match Game fan though than Hollywood Squares.
I love that one.
You didn't know Match Game?
Oh,
Match Game was great.
All right. Well, any other thoughts about the Week 5 games before we wrap things up for this episode?
Should be a fun week. I think there's, other than the dog on Thursday night, I think the other 2 primetime games should be pretty fun to watch. And
my question is,
Thursday night game be great. Seriously, because you're expecting it to be terrible.
Impossible.
Watch it be a great game.
Impossible.
My question is, how much? Go ahead.
I was going to say we expected the Steelers-Browns games to be awful, and we were kind of rewarded with that. Well, not rewarded, but we were proven correct on that one. It wasn't a very good game to watch.
That's true.
My question is how much nonsense is Aaron Rodgers going to spit out this week in London? What nonsense in press conferences and crap is he going to talk this week?
As much as he usually does.
No, I think there's going to be more. He's going to come up with something about Meghan Markle or something like that. Or
oh man, I will say this: it's a good. This Thursday night game is lucky that there's not any baseball going on because I wouldn't have anything else to watch tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's
Hold
the
on,
only
is
reason I'm going to
there
watch
any
it.
college on Thursday this week? Is there any college football games?
Probably
Thursday?
nothing worth it.
I'm sure
All the
there
good
are.
games are always on Saturday. It's probably not anything good.
Take a look. Hold on.
Oh, now we got to wait for Aiden to look at the college football stuff.
Good God.
Oh, man.
Tune in to see what games he found.
No, I'm cutting that.
No, we got nothing. There's nothing this week.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Anyway, so this, just trying to figure out a way to end this. This week, there are our picks. We'll see if JR can do better than 1-4.
Hooray!
He'll get
We'll see
one.
how badly I do this week.
Yeah, with your radical picks.
Shout out to Brendan's home state of Kansas and the Kansas 5-0 Jayhawks.
That's true. That's true. My not home state. It's the state I live in now. Mizzou almost upset Georgia. They were close.
They made it a close ball game.
They made the game worth turning on because I wasn't going to watch it.
Mizzou only backed out of that rivalry because they were scared.
They shouldn't be in the SEC. I'm sick of the conferences being named Southeast, PAC, and Atlantic Coast and not having teams that are in those regions. Anyway, that's another discussion for another time. But thank you guys so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Joe's and the Pros podcast. Keep an eye on the channel because later this week, actually hopefully we'll put this out before Friday's games, although they start at noon Eastern on Friday are the playoffs in baseball. I think the first game starts at noon with the Rays and the Guardians.
We'll try to get it out before then.
Good luck. But we will be putting out an episode with our wild card baseball series predictions as it is now playoff baseball time. And we are all excited because we are all big baseball fans, as well as, yes, I'm talking about
the playoffs.
Yes, I know. You bring that quote up way more than you should.
It's fun.
But yes, your cat just ran behind you, Brendan.
I was like, what the hell was that?
I love how we see it and you're like, what in the world?
Because I'm not looking at myself on the camera. I'm like looking at you guys.
It's like a fly on your screen or something like that. It's like, what? What was that? Oh gosh, getting off the tracks again. Anyway, tune into our wild card prediction episode to see what we pick for our wild card predictions. And JR is doing another frozen screen acting job. I saw that. That was pretty good. But so we won't be always talking football on this channel. It's just that's been the main sport that's been going on right now. But now we're into playoff baseball. It is definitely worth talking about. So tune in to see what we predict for the wild card series and for the rest of the playoffs. Tune in for every episode as we get to each round. But until next time, this has been Andrew, Brendan, Aiden, and Jared. And I said the names in the order of the prediction records. Haha. Thank you for tuning in to Joe's and the Pros, and we will see you next time. Have you seen that they're making a Blue's Clues movie now?
Dude, I'm so excited. All three of them are going to be in it too.
Yeah.
I'm hyped.
Really?
Yes.
Just let's get hyped, man.
Anyway, we're wasting time already. You were the ones that said we needed to record.
No,
right
Brendan
now.
was the one.
This
Brendan.
this is more worthwhile than any kind of NFL talk.
All-
It's all about KU, baby.
They're undefeated. They're undefeated right now.
5-0. Go Jayhawks.
We want
baby.
Bama.
We want.
Do you really?
No.
We want Bama.
No, you don't.
No.
Yeah, we do, baby.
Hold on. We want Alabama Tech.
I don't think they could beat Alabama Tech sometimes. I don't think they could beat Alabama Tech 5 times out of 10.
All of the wild card matchups. We will not see the cats again. I'm time stamping that because I have to cut this part out.